trigger warning, this is going to involve assault, this is going to involve murder, brutal beatings, stabbings, bloody, everything. If you may be triggered by any of this, I would definitely recommend not watching it. If not, I would say feel free to watch, get educated, and please, above all else, be respectful. I mean, no disrespect to any of the victims or their families. Now, this man, Richard Ramirez, he basically terrified California back in his days. He was horrific. Some of the crimes that he committed were just atrocities to humankind everywhere. And today, I'm going to be talking about him and all of his victims, including his survivors. So, Richard Munoz Ramirez, or the Night Stalker, hey Strong Bear, as the media would call him, was born February 29th, 1960 in El Paso, Texas. He was the youngest of 5 siblings. And now, these siblings, as his sister described in a later interview, were very close-knit. Like, they were horrified when everything happened, when he was finally caught. He also had cousins, one of which was an older cousin named Miguel. Now, Miguel was a Vietnam veteran, and he used to show Richard photos of people who he had decapitated, of women that he had assaulted, like brutal, bloody photos. And this man would have an even worse impact on him later in life. His father was a policeman, and he, like many other people who should not be policemen but choose to become a cop anyway, would have these violent, angry outbursts on occasion. Now, apparently there's been a study that shows that about 40% of cops are domestic abusers, and Richard's father fit in that 40%. Now, Richard was a bit clumsy as a kid. A swing once hit him on the head, which knocked him unconscious, and then another head injury happened when a dresser fell on him and caused a laceration to his head. Because of this, he had epilepsy and had seizures up until his early teens. Richard was born close to his siblings, especially his older brother Joseph, who was born with physical deformities and mental deficiencies. Now, even though he was 5 years younger than him, Richard would often protect his brother from school bullies. And keep in mind, that is only the reported cases. There could be more. Richard was a pretty popular kid. He had tons of friends and even some little girlfriends, claims Jo Pinon, a classmate of his. She said he was super friendly and charismatic. Now, this is from the Time Suck podcast, which I want to give big credit to helping me get a lot of quotes from people. When Joe was placed in a slow learner's class, he fell prey to that class's child molesting teacher. This teacher would visit the Ramirez house when the parents were away. This happened around when Richard was about 8 or 9 years old, and he witnessed his then 14-year-old brother Joseph getting abused. It was suspected, though never confirmed, that Richard may have been sexually abused as well. Ramirez started hanging out with Miguel, who would show him photos, like I said before, of the women he raped, people he hurt and killed, everything. And guys, please feel free to tap, share, and gift. I really appreciate it. Thank you all for coming. Thank you. He taught Ramirez different military tactics, thank you, Wolf, such as, and thank you, 573, such as stealth and killing tactics. In order to escape the abuse from his father, Richard would actually sleep in cemeteries. He developed an interest in true crime, and he once said that magazines had a certain smell to them. Oh, thank you. I will get the wheel after the interview. Oh my goodness. After the true crime scream has finished, and towards the end of it when we have a group discussion. Oh, thank you. While playing mini pool at Miguel's apartment, Richard went to the fridge to grab a soda, and he noticed a pistol was sitting on the top shelf. When he asked Mike about it, his cousin told him he may be using it and wanted it to be cool. Richard thought nothing of it, hey redneck, and just went back to playing. Then at the age of 13, this was a life-changing incident that happened to him. Miguel and his wife, Jessica, thank you, were arguing, and she'd been telling him that he needed to get a job. Now, in front of his 2 children and Richard Ramirez, who, keep in mind, this child was 13 years old. Miguel grabbed the gun and shot her in the face from point-blank range. Then Miguel ordered him to leave, and without hesitation, Richard went back home. He didn't tell anyone what he had witnessed, but from that day on, he just became very sullen and withdrawn. Now, afterwards, his cousin requested that Richard and his father, hey Shelley, would go back to his apartment to get some pieces of jewelry for him, and a puddle of Jesse's blood was still there. Richard said in an interview, The day I went back to that apartment, it was like some kind of mystical experience. It was all quiet and still and hot in there. You could smell the dried blood. Particles of dust just seemed to hover in the air. I looked at the place where Jessie had fallen and died, and I got this kind of tingly feeling. It was the strangest thing. Then my father told me to look into her pocketbook, thank you, for this jewelry my cousin wanted, and I dumped Jessie's pocketbook on the bed and looked through her things. It gave me the weirdest feeling. I mean, I knew her, and these were her things, and she was dead, murdered, gone. And I was touching her things. It made me feel in contact with her. Now, keep in mind everything that I just said. This was a childhood, like I said, everything. It gets even worse. You're going to realize how much this fits into his MO. Now, Miguel pled insanity and spent 4 years in a mental hospital. Richard moved in with his older sister and her husband, who used to take Richard with him to drive around at night and peer into women's windows in hopes to find them undressing. Richard started to get into LSD and Satan worshipping. And I know I talked about it on my other stream. There's difference. He would say he was a Satanist, but there's a clear difference between Satanists, like the Church of Satan, that organization, and Satan worshipping. And what Richard did was he was a Satan worshiper. Like, he would kill people in the name of Satan, which I'll get to. Satanists, that's basically their main principle, is like you're not allowed to attack people unless they are attacking you or they are attacking somebody else. Like, their thing is unless they are so much about not hurting people, even animals. They're saying unless you are doing it because an animal is attacking you or you need food, you shouldn't even kill animals. That is their message. I just want to put that out there before people go back home after this and be like, I hate Satanists, you know? So, teenage Richard got a job at a Holiday Inn. He used his pass key to access people's homes. He used to steal guest things while they slept, and while there, he assaulted and attempted to rape a woman who had been sleeping. She was one of the guests, but her husband caught him and beat him. And then the couple had been traveling, so they chose not to press charges, but Richard got fired. Richard dropped out of school in the 9th grade. His first arrest was in 1977 for marijuana possession. He moved to California at age